Namaste and welcome to yet another very interesting conversation. When we have authors from Bharat who take Itihasa, take our scriptures and merge it with a thrilling story and make it real and current, it just makes for fast-paced reading. But along with that, we also get a sense of the depth of our Itihasa and what is there in our scriptures. There are few who are past masters and very good wordsmiths, and one of them, I'm a big fan of his, is Ranjith Radhakrishnan, and this is his second book, Blades of Fury, the second part of the story of Rama of the Axe, or Parashurama. So let's go across and ask Ranjith. Ranjith, namaste.
Namaste.
This is long overdue.
I'm so happy to see the book in your hands, and you've given me a great introduction. I hope I live up to it in this conversation.
No, seriously, it's been like an edge of the seat thriller. I remember going through the first book and I read it overnight. I stayed, I started reading it about 6 p.m. in the evening and I went on till about 4 in the morning and I just did not stop because it was unputdownable. So it's been like that too. And if I got puffy eyes because I started reading it last night and I've almost come to the end of it. So that's that's what I mean.
Please send me this clipping. I'm going to send it to my family.
So that's what I mean. But how do you do it? And how did it come? And why is it that you decided to call it Rama of the Axe? So let's start from there.
Okay, that's an interesting question because we don't know too much about Parshurama. It's like, in the movies, he's doing a cameo, special guest appearance in grand narratives of somebody else's story.
Yeah.
And we know he's the sixth avatar. And we have this general perception that he's this very angry, violent, immensely powerful warrior, but nothing more than that. So there are two stories that happen that's behind this. One, I stayed in Trivandrum for a couple of years. I visited all the temples there. But there was this one temple on the outskirts of Thiruvananthapuram where the main deity is Parashurama. And nobody mentioned the temple to me. I haven't visited it. But from 1999 onwards, there were a series of deaths in my family. And, after a year is over, you go and do another set of rituals. And I kept going back to this temple. So my first, darshan of Parshurama was for a death ritual. And that's when I started to, get more curious about, what is this avatar all about? I don't know much about Parashurama, other than that he's the sixth avatar. And that's when the curiosity sparked. And this aha moment to write a story came when I got to know about this temple in the north of Karnataka. It's in a place called Savdatti, and the deity is Yellama. Now that Yellama is actually Parashurama's mother, Renuka, was a major revelation to me. So Shitala Devi, Yellama, Mariamman, a Devi's head on a kalasha, all this connects back to Renuka and through her to a Mahavidya, that is Machanasta. So this was, I had already written a short story that was published, an anthology called Unsung Valor. So I had to put this down, it was lockdown time. I had nothing better to do. So I got on writing and luckily Westland picked it up. But the interesting thing about this is when I was researching the story, and since we don't have something definitive about Parashurama, like we have the Ramayana for Sri Ram, the Bhagavad Sri Krishna, we don't have one text. It's just bits and pieces of stories here and there. A little bit of mention in some of the Puranas, especially the Brahmanda. So while researching, I come across this blog by this person who goes under the name of Manasa Tarangini. And I think he's a Bhargava himself. And he mentions that during the 15th and 16th century, there was this Maratha chieftain. His name is Sabaji Pratap. And he had this Jagir in Ahmednagar somewhere. And he came across this collection of texts. And the names of the texts are mind-blowing because it's Agastya Mahatmyam, you have a Dattatreya Purana, you have a Brigu Vamsha Kavya, and you have a Parashuramayana.
Wow.
So the text exists. Where it is now, nobody knows. I don't know whether the families are holding it. No, they have these texts with them. And this is in ancient Telugu, it's not in Sanskrit. And he's compiled it, he's kept it somewhere, either, they haven't released it as yet, or they don't know they possess this. I hope that comes out. Till then, you'll have to do the Rama of the Axe.
Hmm.
And coming to the Axe part of it,
Yeah.
uh, it struck me as a little strange that such a mighty warrior, he has all the Divyastras you can think of, and he does this intense tapasya to Mahadev, and the reward is an axe. Why would somebody give him an axe when he has all these astras there? There has to be a greater meaning to it.
Yeah.
You have a lot of symbolic meaning to the Trishul, to the Sudarshan Chakra, and also to one other weapon that was given by Mahadev to Ravan. That's the sword, Chandrahas.
Chandrahas.
Yeah. And it leaves him as soon as he commits an act of adharma.
Yeah.
So that's where the thinking came that, probably there is something more to the axe. And I can use this as a symbol to show his spiritual journey and how the spirituality and what deeds he achieves on the mortal plane are both interconnected. So that's how I titled it Rama of the Axe.
So, I remember when I saw the title Rama of the Axe, what came to mind was Arun Govil as Ram, when he meets Parshurama and he says, "Aap bhi Ram hai, main bhi Ram." So, it is just that you are in a different yuga, I am in a different yuga, but we are both Ram.
Yeah.
You are known as Parashuram because you wield the axe, and
True.
I wield the dhanush. So there is a conversation which happens saying that our yugas are different, but we are perhaps origins are back to the same roots from whom Varaha came, you came, and then now I have come. So the avatar of Vishnu. But
Yes.
to when you don't have a scripture with Ramayana, like you said, with Mahabharata, with Ganesha, with Shiva.
Yeah.
There is so much in the Puranas, there's so much in our Itihasa to be able to cull out a story and then obviously allow that creative element to come through where the writer takes that leap of creativity and imagination. But in
Correct.
the case of Parshuram, how is it? And when I thought that you're writing about Parashuram, I thought you will bring Kalari into it because they worship him as the
Yeah.
sage, as the originator of Kalari.
Yeah. Its color is there in book 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
And-
find it in the first book. I found it here. Yeah. So,
Yeah, yeah.
Well-
So there's an interesting thing about Kalari here because when I was bringing this into the book, I couldn't find a Sanskrit name for Kalari. Kalari Payattu is a Malayalam derived name.
Yes.
So I did my research. I asked a lot of people, and finally I had to coin a word for Kalari Payattu in Sanskrit, and then ask them, "Is this okay?" And that's how I have the name there. The same with the weapon Urumi.
What is the name?
I couldn't find a name.
No. What is the name that you have given?
The Naga Khatga, the serpent sword.
So
I have an entire chapter
that's for
on
the
that.
Urmi, but I'm saying for Kalari, what is the name that you have given?
Kalorika Prayoga. So I tried to get it as close as possible to Kalari Payattu, and I checked with Sanskrit pundits, and there's a friend of mine called Vijay Krishnan Nair who helped me in this, and that is what we finally decided on. So these challenges were there when and there are two schools of Kalari. One is Parashurama and one is Agastya, which is why
Agastya.
Agastya plays such a major role in part 2 of the book. Yeah, and there is a spiritual side to Kalari too. And it links to the 7 chakras, the 7 matrikas, and all that. And this book 2 is an exploration of that. See, book 1, a few people who have heard of Parashurama know about his, that climactic confrontation with Kartavirarjuna.
Yeah.
What happens after that?
Yeah.
Not too many people know.
Yeah.
It's like people read the Mahabharata and they stop after the Kurukshetra battle. They don't know what happens after that. There's a lot that happens. So there's a lot that happens to Parashurama after that battle too. And for somebody who has a hymn in the Rig Veda and someone who has a very important tantric text in his name called the Parshurama Kalpa Sutra, you're looking at one avatar who's bringing these two streams together. And how do you, connect these little bits of stories here and there into a plot and make it a readable story was the challenge for book 2. Book 1, not so much because you had the story in the Brahmanda Purana.
Yeah, it is also because you are trying to keep him human while he realizes that he is also divine.
Yeah.
And then that interesting aspect of Daitya Guru comes into place. So Shukracharya finds a role. He's
Yeah.
always there. So it's
Yeah.
interesting that Shukra is always there in all the storytellers of today who look into the past. And when he talk about the Daityas and the Danavas, then Shukracharya always makes his entry. But
Sure.
the 14 realms, the 14 different worlds, and how the Tusker or Ganapati shows him, and then you bring in the Narayana Sukta, the Purusha Sukta, and then you've also brought some of the other scriptures.
Yeah.
So, it's not easy to weave it into the story narrative. It's not
Yes.
easy to say, okay, these are the passages and this is where I'm going to do it. So how did
Yeah.
that happen?
Frankly, I'm at a loss myself. I don't know how to answer this because you see, sometimes I don't think you've got to that chapter yet. There's this chapter where I thought I've literally written myself into a corner because I didn't know how to proceed with the story. So if I have to, sort of give you some kind of an example of how this is, we have a lot of writers who are depending on AI to write for them now.
Correct.
Yeah, so they've become more of prompt engineers rather than writers. They tell them, write in this style, use these elements, and do this. When so what's happening here is you're prompting and you're looking for an output. Now we have this entire corpus of stories, huge corpus, and we're finding more manuscripts every day.
Yeah.
A lot of them are being translated. So you're looking at a different kind of, if I can put it very, I don't mean it in the literal sense, but I'm just using it for a comparison here. You're looking at a different kind of AI. This is ancient intelligence. The output is already there. And when you read it, you're waiting for that AI to prompt something in you. So it works the other way around. So you got to spend some time, understanding the character of your protagonist. What is the symbolic meaning of what he's done? And I think you got to stay with that character and the story there, because otherwise it's not going to come to you. I've seen, posts on Twitter that say, a man who beheads his mother can never be an avatar. I refuse to worship him. So you've come to a point where something has, depending on your ideology or your thinking at this present moment, that's something that's not acceptable to you. You've not stayed at that point to see why is it that people, despite this happening, consider him an avatar. You've not gone there. And I think the story lies there. Your willingness to stick to that point and try and, pick out a thread from that story and see where that leads you. Yeah. So actually, Puranic stories are all about rabbit holes. You got to be Alice in Wonderland and you got to go down that rabbit hole and see where it leads you, and then, somehow make it back up and write a story.
Because one can then ask that one who beheads his own son, how can he be the god? How can he be how can he be Parameshwara, or how can he be Shiva? Now, unless you understand the story, the complexity and what happens thereafter and how Ganesha actually became Ganesha, you'll not respect. And, and one of the things which many say is that Kala binds everybody. Even Krishna says it in the Bhagavad Gita, saying that I am Kala, but I am still bound by Kala.
Yeah.
So I have to go through what is deemed for me, what is destined for me. And because of that, he has the Achilles heel. No, so it's not just Hercules. So Hercules perhaps was inspired from Krishna in terms of the story of the Achilles heel. So it's just that there are so many parallels, and you have got to understand that even gods are humans, and even gods have to pay the actions for their karma, and they know that they will have to pay this price, but they have to do what needs to be done to keep the passage moving. So that doesn't explain the writer's block. That doesn't explain how the story came to you. So let's come to the ancient intelligence and how did it help you?
Yeah. So there's this part of the story where, he's literally in a cave and he's got to find a way to connect with his guru. That is Dattatreya. And then I realized that, there's no part of the story where I have revealed the Dattatreya yantra to him.
Yeah.
And how is he going to get out of the situation? And, my first instinct was, rewrite this. It's just, I'm not too much into the chapter. Let's get him out of the cave. But that idea of this man, after suffering such a big blow, being in a cave, trying to, remove something that he knows will spark off evil in him.
Yeah.
And to get out of that situation, I thought that was, I had to stick with that. So it struck me that I have to find a yantra for a path to reach the guru rather than the yantra of the guru.
Guru.
And I couldn't find a yantra in the entire set of mandalas and yantras that we have. And it wasn't a writer's block. It's that I want to write, but I don't know what to write. So I just kept it at the back of my mind, took a break from writing for 2-3 weeks, and I just came across this particular thing. All I knew was, okay, Dattatreya is a man, so it's usually symbolized by an upward triangle.
Yeah.
And I see the tetractys, and I know that this is the yantra for that. But how do I explain that?
Yeah.
So that's where, when you stick with the story and you say that the obstacle is the way, you are going to find something. You just have to, stay true to that. Something comes. It's the story prompting something in you. So though I have my name on the cover and all that stuff, I don't know. I'm sometimes, I feel a little awkward saying that, I put my name on the cover. It's written by me, because I sometimes don't know where this comes from. I'm not trying to make it mystical and all that stuff. I'm just trying to attribute the credit to the original story itself in the Puranas.
Now, where does Guru Dattatreya come in this entire lineage? Now, that's also imagination, or is it mentioned somewhere?
It is mentioned somewhere.
That he was the Guru. I know the entire Bhargava lineage, so that's why Jamadagni and Renuka come there. But how does Dattatreya come? And Parashurama is already an acharya to Akrita already, right? So he's a teacher, but he's also a student, and he's a student of his parents who are also protecting him. Plus he's got the Daitya Guru, who's also a Bhargava Vansha. And then, there are two Chiranjeevis, so both cannot die, but there is a conflict. And then you have created this inner voice in him, which is leading him one way or the other. So it's like very philosophical there, saying that inside every person there are two voices. One is of the conscience and the other one perhaps of the mind. So the good and bad of it, which will draw you towards two different sides. So how did this happen? And let's talk about Dattatreya also.
Okay. This mention does come in the Brahmanda Purana, but it comes much later on, after the climactic battle with Kartavirarjuna. But that's a little bit of creative liberty I've taken to show the inclusion of the Guru right in the beginning. But if you see, he doesn't reveal his form. He comes in different forms. He comes as a voice. He doesn't show you his form. That happens only in book 2. So I've stuck to that, but I've just used a little bit of creativity to show that the influence of the Guru was there from the beginning itself. So there is this text, very profoundly philosophical, called the Tripura Rahasya, which the version we have now is a very concise version of what was narrated by Dattatreya to Parashurama. So the Puranas do have it that in the end, after all this killing, Parashurama does go to Dattatreya, to seek the greater wisdom. I've just moved it along, to include him in the story, to show that there is this unseen presence that is prompting Parashurama, giving him his test to see if he's worthy or not. What happens usually is when you write in a novel form, most people stick to this 3-act kind of thing that happens in novels. You don't find the 3-act in our Puranas. There is a kind of ensemble dynamics at play. And unless you get that into your story, into your novel, you're not going to make much of it's going to end up being just a fantasy story there with, a whole lot of magical weapons and all this stuff, unless, which is why I mention in book 2 in a dialogue itself that the story of Parashurama is not complete without the story of Jamadagni or Renuka. So it's unlike those, movie plots where it's all character driven and only the main protagonist matters. So if you see our stories, like you mentioned, the meeting of Parshurama and Rama, they are interwoven. And it's like huge generational gaps that come in between. So unless you get that link and you bring that dynamics into the 3-act play, you're not going to be able to do justice to the story. So, which is why I bought Dattatreya into book 1 without showing him the form. And he prompts Parashurama to do something in book 2, which I don't think we have. I haven't heard of it, and I always wondered why. We have a Bhagavad Gita, we have a Rama Gita, but we don't have a Parashurama Gita. So something on those lines is there in book 2, and I'm just waiting for somebody to give me feedback on whether that was worthy or not.
I haven't come to that. So,
Yeah.
so I won't be able to question you on that. But what I've seen is the flow is so gripping, and somewhere I don't know why. And let me ask you this: our scriptures refer to the avatars as if they knew they are divyamshas. But I see writers today writing this whole part of discovery, that they were born as human beings, ordinary human beings, but they suddenly got the divinity, divine element. There were energies of the universe that directed them because they were destined to be divine. So they discover their divinity. They don't come knowing that they are divine. So there is this difference. Now, why? Why were you compelled to say that Parashurama or Rama of the axe was not born divine? He discovered the divinity.
Okay. In Parashurama's case, it was pretty simple, because with all my reading of Brahmanda Purana in English as well as in Malayalam, I didn't come across a significator of divinity during his childhood. I didn't see that come across. Okay, and I see him sitting in tapasya for years to Mahadeva, and then he goes and meets his forefathers. And this happens, this divinity portion doesn't come in at all till suddenly he's addressed as Bhagavan. So I have an instance in book 2 where he's addressed as Bhagavan, and then he says, "Don't call me that."
Yeah.
Okay. So this didn't happen for this particular story, where he's sure of his divinity, or it is his parents were saying that, okay, there is an Akashvani or something that says that there's a divine child going to be born. The only thing that is told of his birth is that he would be a Brahmin with a lot of Kshatriya qualities.
Yeah, so Brahma Kshatriya.
Brahma Kshatriya, which I didn't want to sort of associate it with caste. I wanted to go with the qualities of the person, which is why I gave another definition to it.
Yeah,
that
and I like that reference also when the mother looks at him and says, "Good that you're going to read, because you didn't forget the Brahmin part of being a Brahma Kshatriya." The reference being that Brahmana is someone who pursues knowledge, Brahma Vidya, not someone who's born a Brahmana. That was very subtly done, but very nicely done.
I'm glad you picked it up. I was hoping somebody did. Thank you for that.
When you sit down, so that's why you believe that they were human who got their divinity. Then this comes, why then was he an avatar of Vishnu? And why wasn't he praying? So Prahlada was praying to Vishnu, and that's how Narasimha avatar happened. But what is Parshurama's or Rama's connection to Vishnu when all his boons are from Mahadeva? His guides are Mahadeva's Ganas or Ganapati and the others. So how does the connection to Vishnu happen?
Yeah. So there's this particular point in book 1 where when the secret is revealed to him and he knows that the antagonist is an embodiment of something.
Sudarshana.
And there's this play at the back of his head, and he says, "Can I be the manifestation of the Parashu?" And then he says, "What a foolish thought." He said, "What is the difference between Vishnu and Shiva?" Which is one of the things I like so much about Parashurama, is that despite being known as an avatar of Vishnu, he sees no difference between Mahavishnu or Mahadev. And since he's instructed by his father to, take up this tapasya, and he's given a Banalinga by somebody who's working in the background, who is an avatar of all three. Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara.
Yeah, Dattatreya. And then you outline the story of Anasuya also.
So basically, since it's been much touted when historians talk about this, the difference between the Vaishnavites and the Shaivites and all this stuff. There is a particular arc in this story that tells you that no, it is not. They are different forms of the same divinity. And it doesn't matter.
Or Smartha. So that's the line that you're trying to take.
I don't think I can go down the Smartha way, because there is a lot of Advaita that comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and finally he says everything is Devi, Parashakti. So he's now gone beyond Mahavishnu and Mahadev and gone to something else. And he's bought in the Advaita philosophy too. So I don't think you can place Parashurama within the Smartha fold or within the Advaita fold, within the Vedic fold or within the Tantric fold.
Tantric
This
fold.
man is a confluence of everything. And that's what makes this avatar so special. He doesn't come, finish his job and go. He's a Chiranjeevi. So I don't think we have learned everything there is about Parashurama. Maybe those texts will come out and give us more knowledge. But we are looking at something absolutely spectacular, which we don't give enough importance to.
So did you, let me ask you, I've got 5 minutes with you, so more minutes. So let me quickly ask you this. Did you travel different realms and wake up with a start and to say, what all was I seeing and so many things that I manifested? Did that happen with you through the course of writing this? Because somewhere I felt those passages and those experiences had a little bit of a personal touch to them. So it was not just Rama experiencing it, Ranjith was also experiencing it.
Well, that's something I wouldn't want to talk about, but
You must.
see, I can tell you in book one, the Battle of the Axis part of it,
Yeah.
I had a completely different thing in mind. And when I wrote it, I probably started at around 8:30 in the morning. And I wrote that entire chapter in one stretch.
Wow. Okay.
Okay,
So
I
it had to
finished that
come. It
chapter.
just came. No flow.
It just came. So, and at the end of it, I went back and read, and I was like, I didn't even imagine this. I had no idea of writing it this way. So, I'm not sure what happened, but I do know that something did. So, I
Something
don't
did.
know how to express it.
Did you feel that experience where it was, for font of other word, otherworldly, or perhaps a little elevated, where you were out of, see, that thing that Rama also feels, Parashurama also feels, that he's outside his body when he's traveling in that chariot after the war. That's how the whole passage starts. And he
Okay.
feels something astral that is actually traveling, and he's witnessing the body separately. So there are two functions that are simultaneously happening. It's a little complex, it's very philosophical, it's very deep, but you explain
Yeah.
it as if it's an experience that somebody is having. So when through the course of writing, did you feel that you sit down with that pen and then you feel that it's not you writing, you can see yourself writing with somebody else is writing it? Did you feel that experience?
I did, which is why I mentioned earlier, I
Yeah.
feel a little embarrassed to have my name on the cover and all that. But what is surprising to me is some of the reactions I've got from the readers. They DM me on Insta, uh, and, and there are people who have actually traveled to the temple in Kerala because they wanted to see Parashurama.
Where is this in Kerala? Right outside Thiruvananthapuram, no? About
Yeah, it's a place called Thiruvallam.
Tiruvallam.
Yeah, and people usually go there to do the Bali Karma,
Uh,
the death rituals. And the Murti of Parashurama faces Anantapadmanabha Swami. So there's that connection too.
yes.
I've had a girl reach out to me on Insta who said she traveled with the book and she went to Himachal, and she just wandered into a temple and she saw that it was Renuka there, and she shows the pujari the book. This is Rama of the Axe, and then the pujari takes her on an entire temple tour and tells her the story and points to a lake and says that this is the story of Renuka and that lake. And when she reached out to me, I had just finished writing the chapter. So
Yeah,
there
correct.
are a few odd things that's happened, and I am so grateful to my readers for this, because just 3 days back somebody has gone to Srirangam, and obviously the photography is not
Yeah.
allowed inside, so he took a pic from out, and then he said, I'm going into the temple and I'm going to place your book at Sri Ranganathar's feet. So I was
Yeah.
so
I think love comes from different places, and when there is a spiritual connection, people connect with you. These things happen, Ranjit. But was it also surprising for you that
yeah,
people whose origins are towards Dakshina or the
yeah,
Dakshina Vrata,
yeah,
Varta as you say, but Shitla Devi's very popular and worshipped all across the north.
Yeah.
Parshuram. There is
Yeah.
Parshuram Jayanti here in
Yeah.
Uttar Pradesh, where I am speaking to you from, and there are temples dedicated to Bhagwan Parshuram, and he is called Bhagwan Parshuram. So how did this spread happen across the length and breadth of Bharatvarsha so many eons ago? Is
Yeah.
that also not surprising that it's all connected? You know, Shankaracharya from Kaladi all the way to Kashmir, he's present
True.
there, he was there, and that was recent compared to Parshuram. Ram,
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
much later after Parshuram, Krishna much after Ram, they are present across the length and breadth of the country despite them being split into various realms and regions and riyasats or states and however you would call it, kingdoms you would
Yeah.
call it.
That is such a fantastic point. I'll reveal something from book 3 to you, which came as such a big surprise when I was writing book 2,
Huh.
that I was almost at the final edit and I had to go back and revise the text for it. Because you see, in Tamil, they have the same alphabet, I think, for Cha and Ja. So you don't, if you search for Jamadagni, you're not going to get too many results. But if you search for Chama,
Chamadagni.
Chamadagni, you get a result. And my friend Vijay sent me the snippet that says Jamadagni's son. We don't know which one. He has 5 sons.
Yeah.
One of Parashurama's
Brother.
brothers becomes the foremost disciple of Agastya, goes down, and the oldest Tamil text that you have, Tolkapiyam, is written by this brother. Tolkapiyar is Parashurama's brother.
Wow.
Such an
What a
obscure,
connection.
what a connection. Completely missed out. This is not there in mainstream anywhere.
Yeah, true. It's true. It's lost. It's not, nobody talks about
Yeah.
it so much.
Yeah, and I remember reading this book that was published by Sahitya Academy. I forget the author's name. When there's so much, people looking at language warriors who are looking at what separates them from the mainstream. You had people like Bhasa, much before Kalidasa, and the Sangam era of Tamil literature, and and the book tells you the similarities in the metaphors that they use in the language.
Wow.
So even now, you see a lot of Hindi movies that represent the monsoon as a viraha bhava, where
Yeah.
and we have so many lovely songs.
Correct.
This is there in Bhasa, this is there in Tamil Sangam literature. It comes from there. We are unaware that this has such a long history. There is a messenger poem. The most famous one is Kalidasa's, the Megha Sandesha.
Yeah.
But there are messenger poems in Tamil Sangam literature. So these were people, maybe different languages, but the cultural and literary exchange was so great. They had only mutual respect for both these languages. And we, the descendants, are now fighting over which is oldest, which is greater.
We always find a reason to fight. That's a different thing altogether. Now, what is book 3 called?
I haven't titled it as yet. I'm still writing it. I'm only 5 chapters in. I hope to finish by the end of the year.
Will it end at book 3 or you don't know that too? The
No,
story
I
of
think
Rama of the Axe.
No. It was supposed to end in book 2, but it was huge. And I was advised you finish writing the whole thing and then divide it into 2. And I said I won't get a right point to stop if I do that.
Yeah.
So I finished with book 2, and it will conclude in book 3. It's a trilogy.
Kicha Sudeep is there on the cover.
Yeah.
So is it getting into the movies very soon?
I hope so. I'd love for him to play the character. He's I think tailor-made for it. And he's my brother-in-law, so I have my vested interest in getting him to play it. So I have narrated scenes from the book to him, and there are certain portions that he loves. So hopefully something will work out. He's very busy. He's got 4 movies lined up, so I'm hoping the 5th is mine.
But I'm sure after reading Rama of the Axe, somebody would have said, make a movie out of it. This has got the story and it can work. Or go the animation way like Maha Avatar Narasimha.
Yeah.
The next story is of Parshurama there also. So they are also doing so. I'm sure somebody would have said something to you about it.
Yeah, the answer will be offline.
All right, Ranjit, lovely. I'm going to continue reading this. I think after finishing
Thank
my
you.
responsibilities as a professional today, I'm going to finish it off tonight. That's what I'm going to do. It's unputdownable. Amazing speaking with you. This is long overdue. Next time you're in Delhi, you have to visit our studios and we have to have a longer conversation.
Definitely will do. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's honor.
May the story flow and may the pen
Thank
keep
you.
writing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Namaskaram.
much.
Namaskaram.
Namaskar.